My wife and son are both diagnosed with ADHD and both take a different type of medication for it. Generally speaking, I manage our son's in terms of giving it to him daily and making sure it's refilled and follow-up visits with the doctor. My wife is an adult and accordingly manages hers on her own with occasional help from me, like picking up from the pharmacy. This morning before the kids were awake and she was taking her meds as we chatted, I saw her grab my son's bottle of medication and, thinking it was on accident, informed her, "Hey, that was in son's." She checks the bottle and says, "Oh, mine ran out, I'll call today." And then took the pill anyway. I then asked calmly, "What am I supposed to do when he runs out early?" And she says, "Just don't give him one today. He'll be fine." What am I supposed to do here? This feels like a huge violation of my trust in her and of her ability to put her needs over our child's. And based on her mannerisms, tone of voice, and refusal to talk about it after she knows it was a deeply wrong thing to do. Also, is she not concerned that, while both medications are for ADHD, they are in fact different things? Should I be concerned about withdrawal? It also honestly feels like addict behavior to me, like stealing grandma's pain meds. How do I tell her that I'm deeply concerned about this and don't ever want it to happen again without sending her into a rage? It is perfectly natural for a person with ADHD to miss getting a refill on time. I can even understand not thinking it's a big deal, although it is wrong to self-medicate with a different compound than prescribed, especially if you're taking any other medications or have any conditions that might react differently to it. Your child does not need his medication daily. Most days are fine. Up until this point, it shouldn't be a big issue to tell her you don't want her taking your kid's meds and you're concerned about consequences for her. I assume this isn't a regular thing and she's not increasing her dose and running out. If this is the first time this happens, and you generally don't run out of meds for your kid, the real problem here seems to be you can't talk to her. If you can't have a calm reciprocal dialogue with her about issues, then try to do couples counseling. If she doesn't want to, and you can't talk to her, do you want to stay in this marriage? I'm ADHD. Kids are ADHD. In case of shortages, we share and ration. It's not that deep. Yeah, my husband and I are both DX ADHD with our own different stimulant prescriptions. We both need them to function. We do the same thing. There's a lot of shaming in this thread for people like us who actually need them. I've been taking ADHD medication for almost my entire life. This isn't a big deal to me. Most ADHD meds can be taken as needed. Does your son take his medicine every day, or just on the weekends? I've never needed mine during the weekend, so I build up extra pills in case I'm late to get my prescription refilled. He could skip a day during a weekend if he needs to. Growing up, it helped me with eating enough, since I was always underweight. Okay, thank you. This isn't a big deal to me either. I mean, if she did it every day, then sure, it's a problem. I could see me doing something like this and not thinking twice about it. A mom's job never ends. She is on call 24/7, 7 days a week. I could see her needing her meds on the weekend, but I don't think you should give your son his meds on the weekend or summer break. I stopped taking Adderall cold turkey for a lot of reasons, but I know a kid who has bad hallucinations after taking it for a while. Me, my mother and my sister have been on various medications for ADHD for well over a decade, and you're way more panicked than you need to be. It's extremely common to take medication holidays or not take ADHD medicine over the weekend when it usually isn't needed. You said your wife was going to work and your son wasn't doing anything that day, so it makes sense for him not to take a pill. And if she's out of hers, I wouldn't begrudge her taking one of his. You don't get addicted. There's no withdrawals. It's really not that deep. Get a little safe for his medicine if it makes you feel better, but it's not that serious. This is the correct take. People who are not well informed about this shouldn't comment. Op should talk to the pharmacist if he needs more reassurance. I think that the problem here is that you two aren't on the same page. From my perspective, I would absolutely take a dose of my child's medicine if I ran out, because not having it puts my job and ability to care for the home and children at risk, which is going to be more detrimental to our home life than my child missing a dose on the weekend, which is recommended usually for children. However, I know before even talking to my husband that he would agree with this sentiment and be fine with me taking a dose of 2 until I got my refill. Not having the medication is extremely detrimental to me. So, from her perspective, maybe she doesn't think of her needs as more important, more so as the impact of her not having a dose is more detrimental to the family than the impact of the child missing a dose. Again, my husband and I would almost certainly agree here, so the issue is that you two don't see eye to eye, and she just did it anyways. So, communication is in order. Are they even on the same dosage? I think you need to lock your son's pills away, because your wife can't be trusted with this. This requires more conversation and your wife needs to manage her meds better. Shout out to you /H323 for bringing us a ADHD perspective on this. Really highlights the challenges and issues. They are not the same dosage or medication, entirely two separate drugs. My daughter and I are both ADHD, and I've taken one of hers when mine ran out. Mine was a higher dosage, so I didn't let her have mine. But we'd skip her meds on weekends at her request, so she never ran out. No big deal, if diagnosed in my opinion. Just respectfully curious, was your kid's dosage as effective for you? I figure an adult gets more milligrams in a pill than the kid does, but don't how much more, and don't know if that matters for how effective a kid pill will be for an adult. I thought this was relationship advice, not relationship destruction. People in here telling the guy to lock up his son's medication instead of taking the time to actually educate him how the medications works and why this isn't a real issue. You can obviously tell that the guy's a strung out and worried person, yet you're going all gas no brakes with the gasps and whats and OMGs. If you have no knowledge about ADHD meds, just sit back and let the actual ADHD people tell him he's overreacting. Geez, calm your mammaries. Doesn't matter, Op is only responding to the people who are telling him what he wants to hear. He doesn't care that his wife is going to work and obviously needs to have a level head for work, but cares more about his son on the weekend not having his meds when he has nothing planned. I personally don't see this as a red flag. Skipping a day isn't super detrimental unless you're actually doing something that requires focus. And if she's anything like me, she'll need that borrowed pill to remember to call for the refill. Neither do I. I've taken similar medication from my family quite often. When I've ran out, can't believe Op is even posting this tbh lol. You are doing great in your college writing course. This is a nice short story. For those reading this, it's a common assignment. Should get an A, you have a to K response. I'm not advocating taking someone else's prescription, but if he runs out 1 to 2 days early and the pharmacy *DEMANDS* a reason, for some reason, say you dropped a couple and they fell under the stove, that's a pretty normal, real scenario that would cause you to be a few pills short for the end of the prescription. Next time you pick up her medication, take note of the amount and refill date, and if she is running out of meds before refill, then that would confirm my suspicions. Also make sure your son's isn't short on pills as well. Your son prob doesn't even need it, especially if he's in elementary school. Most AD medications are basically the same thing anyways. Everything is fine, but I guess you'd still have to tell her, and she should understand. It's medicine for ADHD, not cancer. The kid doesn't have a husband and child depending on him. You know who does? Your wife. Her medication absolutely is more important than his, because his entire life depends on her. Maybe you can't talk to her because of how you see everything. The title says it all. You didn't catch your wife doing something awful. You saw her making an adult decision you disagreed with. You're allowed to disagree with it, but that disagreement doesn't make her a sinner. Her attitude does seem to suck, and you clearly do need couples therapy, but I do think she made the right decision, and that you should be less quick to fight her over every decision she makes. At the very least, it was a debatable decision you should discuss as equals, without judging and villainizing. Yeah, her casually taking the son's meds in front of him is him catching her people suggesting she's an addict for not wanting to go to work unmedicated are insane. More info. Does she work? Is your son in school? Without this info, just judging by context clues, I would say this isn't a huge deal. It would be bad if it was the other way around and she was giving her adult medication to your son. He'll be fine for one day without it. If she is going to work all day, she should take priority over the child, who is most likely going to be sitting at home and can take extra time to entertain himself. I definitely think you are seriously overanalyzing the situation. Also, an ADHD diagnosed person taking an ADHD pill is in no way comparable to people stealing and addicted to pain meds, so that was a really weird thing to say. Also, just for context, I have had not exactly the same, but I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of ADHD. I go days and weeks without taking my meds sometimes, and I'm perfectly fine. Overall, I would say, don't stress about it. If anything, maybe just mention to her politely that you were a little weirded out by her actions. But I don't think this calls for like a confrontation or intervention, lol. Relax. I have ADHD. This isn't a big deal to me whatsoever. My boyfriend has ADHD too, and sometimes he lets me take one of his pills because I ran out and couldn't get a new script for a few days. Your wife has many more responsibilities than your kid, and it's probably more important she has her meds than him, especially since it's summer vacation. The addict remark was also kind of unnecessary because it adds to the stigma that we face for taking these medications. I'll play devil's advocate here. Who has to absolutely be able to hold S*** down? Your wife, who if they run out of medication has more responsibilities that they would have to manage. Your wife. ADHD affects executive functioning, and unless you want your wife to have extreme struggle in accomplishing tasks that need to be accomplished to have a stable household, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. That being said, the biggest issue I see isn't the wife taking the medication, it's the resistance to criticism without proper explanation, although we really don't know how you approached her regarding this. If you started off judgmental and accusatory, then I can see why she reflexively became defensive. I think you're the one that's crazy. She needs it too. She ran out, so she took from her sons for one day, because maybe she needs it more than him for that one day. Who are you to decide over your wife about what she needs? I understand it's not her prescription, but who cares? She still functions better with it and is making her own adult decision to prioritize her own needs for one day. No big deal, unless you make a big deal out of nothing. I would divorce your in 1 second for acting in such as an apathetic manner, as opposed to trying to react in an empathetic way towards your partner and trying to understand that maybe her taking the pill on this day that she needs it is worth your son not having it for a Sunday or whichever day you choose. Idiot. Edit. Your language also suggests you would be mad at your wife if she was addicted to the ADHD drug. Guess what? The drug she takes is addictive. Now you're going to get mad at her for getting addicted to drugs that are addictive, that her doctor agrees she needs. What an apathetic loser. IDK, I don't think this is as deep as you're making it. I take meds for ADHD and routinely go days without it unaffected. As someone with ADHD, this comment section is kinda crazy. LMAO. She literally took one of the pills and the kid still has more. She is an adult who is required to function, so she had to take a pill. The comments accusing her of being an addict are gross. She needs those meds to function. It's like telling someone they are addicted to insulin SMH. Not sure why you would immediately be suspicious of your own wife. Op. She literally said she would pick more up today. You definitely overreacted. I can't imagine what your wife would think of you accusing her of being an addict. The more I read, the sadder it gets. This is nothing like stealing pain meds, dude. You cold googled most of these things also. This comment section is wild. Your wife forgetting her meds is literally her ADHD showing. Help her with making sure to restock her meds. I have taken my friend's ADHD meds because I forgot to fly with mine and vice versa. I don't think it's as serious as everyone's making it out to be. This is a big overreaction in my honest opinion. I've been on methylphenidate for over 2 decades. Chill out.